Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. Welcome to episode 2 of Organizing Your Supplies. In episode 1 we covered stickers, and today we are working on paper scraps or scraps of paper, little bits and pieces of paper that are left over from projects and you don't want to throw it away. So there's two categories I'm going to work in today. We have the smaller sized scraps and then we have the larger size scraps. So that's how I'm going to categorize my scraps. And I have to say I'm excited about this video and organizing this, because last night when I went to bed and I was thinking about how am I going to do this, I had a really good idea. So first I'm going to show you my old system. So this here is my old system. And this system actually worked quite well for a few years. But as you can see, after a while, I just kind of started throwing things in and everything is now in disarray, and I really want to kind of declutter and organize. So the old system worked like this, where I had a folder. Let's just look at the large offcuts for now. So I just had one of these plastic folders, which has this plastic pocket at the front, which is quite nice to have. And then you know what they look like, just plastic sleeves like this. And then I had my little offcuts and scraps and whatnots in the pockets, and that actually worked quite well for me. The one thing that I didn't like, and I actually found a solution for, which I'm going to share with you today, is when I put my scraps in, they end up sliding down to one side, and then when I'm turning the pages, kind of I have this empty space here, and then I have, it's not an issue to go in and look for a scrap, because I don't have to be careful about this. I can just go in there and I'm looking for blue, I'm just gonna grab this. All right, so but the only thing with this system that irritated me is this kind of thing, that it all falls to one side and then it ends up kind of bulging in this section. Okay, now smaller pieces. The lesson I learned with this one is, let's just look at this section here. When I first set this system up, I had some of the pockets cut in half. So I took a pocket like this, cut it in half, and then I had the lower pocket and the upper pocket, which I would close off with sticky tape. Now, the idea was for these little pockets to hold like little pieces, tiny little pieces of ephemera, paper scraps that I don't want to throw away. I have a very hard time throwing really anything away, because in my eyes, and if you watch my videos you know this, anything, literally anything can be used in a project, right? And I'm sure you know this already. So my idea here was to have two pockets for tiny little scraps. That did not work, because they would just kind of fall all over the place. And if you by any chance manage to drop this on the floor, which happened a couple of times, all the little scraps just go out flying. So my solution for that was to use paper clips. And I'm only telling you this because you might get an idea from what I'm telling you. You might want to set up your system like this. I used paper clips to hold the pockets shut, and that's why you can see the damage here. So what would happen is, when I need to take the paper clip out, it would get stuck and all this kind of business started happening, and so I know for a fact that that doesn't work for me. All right, now what will work for me? Let's find out. Let's start with the large scraps. Generally speaking, I love the idea of using these folders because I want my papers to be accessible to me. I want them right behind me on my shelf. I don't want to have boxes of storage. I don't want anything that takes up too much space. So this for me worked quite well, and now with my new little thing that I thought of last night, it's going to work even better. But I need to take first everything out of here. And hopefully I can do a little bit of decluttering, even though I'm kind of finding that a little bit hard to believe that I will be able to declutter anything. Maybe I can get rid of these little things. Once upon a time I really did keep every single little piece, and I think I'm at a place where I can let these little bits go. So we shall soon find out. Okay, and you can see by the state of this folder how long I have been using this system. It's even faded from the sun. and broken and all sorts of stuff. It actually served me well for many years. So I do like this system. But before I continue with this, I just wanted to get your juices flowing here for a little bit. Some of the the systems that I suppose you could be looking at for your scraps. So I will show you this, even though I'm not going to use this. This I found at Savers, so secondhand shop. And it's from Creative Memories brand. I'm not sure what it was for, but I assumed it was for, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what it was for? And they're like little folders that you can not take out. For some reason I thought they can. Oh yeah, here we go. So maybe these were like for stickers and stuff like that. So you could perhaps look at filing systems like this. I mean, this is pretty darn cool. Look at this. It's a little book with all these pockets, and it's, I have to say, like when I saw this, I just had to buy it. And it was only $4. But this will not work for me, because when I want a piece of paper, let's say I'm in the middle of a project and I need like a little something, right? When I grab my book, I can just go like this, pull it out, okay? With this, I have this flap which is in the way. I could cut it off, but I feel bad cutting it off. And then I have to open it, and I have to hold it out of the way because it's very stiff and it wants to close. And you know, these are the kinds of things I'm thinking about when I'm setting up a system. I want a system that works. I want a system that's easy and quick. All right. And this, even though it's very appealing, it just wouldn't work for me. Too many little things, and I can't really see what's in there, and I have to keep it here open. And anyway, but you know, perhaps it's something that would work for you. So next things that I looked at are these folders with the sleeves, and then we have like photo albums. This is something that you might consider. This I think is a great idea theoretically. However, what I find is I use this for like little things like this, right? They're not really offcuts of paper, but there are little things that I can grab and put in a journal. And what I find with this is very highly annoying is that these little bits and pieces fall out. Every time I turn a page, they just want to it's messy. I don't like how this looks. So this photo out, you can see this, it just falls out. I hate that. This photo album is something that I reach for occasionally. However, this one here with my offcuts and my scraps, I reach for every time I'm in my craft room, which is every single day, multiple times a day. So I use it daily. I don't think there's been a day that I didn't pull this off my shelf, and either to put stuff in or to take stuff out. So I need something that works. So coming back to this system, for me, this isn't going to work. But then again, little photo albums like this might work for you. And then, okay, here we go. We have large folders like this for my larger scraps, just like I've had so far. However, I'm going to do something a little bit different because I need a folder where I can actually remove the pages, these plastic sleeves. Because I'm going to make this system work for me, I need to, I'll tell you in a moment why. So today I will be using this one to sort out my large scraps. And I just wanted to show you, this one is a little bit more kind of common looking folder. And I'm not sure if you know this, you may not. So I'm going to show you that if you lift, usually this is at the front up here, but sometimes it's at the back. So just look for it and I'll show you what to look for. It's a little bit hard to see, but you don't need to actually see it to do it. You can see here, there's some little notches in there, whereas no notches anywhere else. So trust me, it will make sense. So what happens is you need to lift these out. So just do that. Okay, so they were in here and you just need to lift them out. And then only the ones with the notches, you can see the notches there. And then you can pull this out. I hope that makes sense. And then when you pull this out, you can dismantle. I'm sure you knew this, but maybe you didn't, because for a long time, you know, I didn't know this. And now you're probably wondering, but why do I need to take it out? Well, that's what we're going to talk about now. And we're going to actually start working on the strips, I promise. Now to put it back, you can see these notches here, and there's no notches anywhere else. Let's see the back. no notches anywhere else. So just look for those little notches. And now you'll just slide it back in. I hope that makes sense. So this one at the back, and I'll show you the front. They just kind of have to go into those slots. And then you just slide it in like so. And then it clicks in place. And here we go. You know, nice and secure. Okay, that was probably very boring, but let's start the new system, shall we? So the reason why I want to remove the pages, actually first thing before I get to that is I'm just going to quickly go through this. We're going to speed up the process, and I'm going to sort my scraps into a somewhat similar size. So for example, like I'll have these large pieces or large sheets, and then I have these thin strips. So that's how I'm going to sort my things out, and then we'll move on to filling my folder. Okay, I have my papers now in very loose categories. There's 5 categories, very loose categories. We have the large offcuts. And by the way, I know these are not scraps, like these are substantial papers. Then I have like wider, they're not quite paper strips, like the next category, paper strips. And then we have like something that's too large to go into the small scraps section, so that's why it's there. And then we have like another, I don't know, it really doesn't matter. Like I just kind of separated them, just kind of trying to organize it in my mind. All right, so the first thing that I know I want in my folder, and that's the first thing I'm going to organize, are the largest pieces of paper, because that's just how I've done it so far, and my mind is used to the largest pieces of paper being at the very front of my folder. So at this point, you might feel inclined to organize by color, and you know, perhaps that's not such a bad idea. It's not something that I do personally, and I might dedicate only 2 pockets for this section, because maybe 3 pockets, because to be honest with you, I don't generally have a lot of these large offcuts or pieces, or they're not really offcuts, and they're not scraps. I know they're not scraps, but they are leftovers from projects that I don't want to throw away. So all right, I'm gonna give it 3 pockets, and I'm just gonna put it in there. When I'm crafting and I need something, I just go, that will do. I'm not being careful with this. I'm not being gentle. I'm not trying to not, you know, to not disturb the papers. I just need get in and get a piece of whatever I need. Oh, that floated in here. And by the way, over here, I have a section of papers that I took out that I'm going to either declutter or something, you know, I'm not sure what to do with them yet. So I need to use my brain and think, and that's why they're gone to the side, so I can think about that a little bit later. And here comes my fabulous idea, which I'm sure, you know, I'm not the first to think of that idea, but here's what I was thinking. I was thinking, instead of using the whole pockets and then this is swimming around, especially when I get to these pieces, see that? I don't like them swimming around. So what I was thinking is, can you guess? I was thinking of sewing. That's the idea, the big fabulous idea I had last night. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. I'm sure other people have done it already, have done that kind of thing. But that's why I need plastic sleeves that are removable. And now I'm thinking, even though I was going to have 3 pockets for large scraps, now I'm thinking I'm going to take this out. I'm going to have a section here for my narrow strips. So here comes the sewing machine. First of all, this one, as you can see, this one opens differently. I've never had something like this before, so it's pretty cool. And now I'm going to do a little bit of sewing. I'll do it on camera so you can see. And I'm going to sew myself sections. I'm not going to do any horizontal sewing, because then I would have to carefully cut and all that. I don't want to bother with that. I just want to sew sections. Some of them I'm going to sew right in half. Some of them I'm going to have narrow spaces. Some of them I might have one large, like the one I'm going to do now, one large pocket and one narrow space. So here comes the sewing machine. I'm using universal needle, same needle I use for everything else that I do. Paper, denim, cardstock, cardboard, plastic, anything and everything goes through this sewing machine, which is, the brand is Elna, by the way, so it's nothing nothing special or anything like that. All right, now I'm just going to do a straight stitch, and I'm going to sew through this pocket, but I'm not going to start from the side that you can open. I'm going to start from the bottom, the sealed side, and that way there's more chance that this, you know, isn't going to move while I'm sewing, and then I'm going to have something looking like this. All right, so that's why I'm starting on the sealed side, and I'm just going to, you know, this doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be straight, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just creating a system, and, you know, if one of these is ruined, that's fine. You know, there's 20 of them in that folder, and I have more, and you can always purchase them separately too. And by the way, all of the folders that I've shown you, I found them all secondhand over the years. I just have a thing for stationery in general. So, all right, my settings are, you know, I'm just doing just a straight stitch, white thread, and off I go. Right here at the beginning, I'm going to do a back stitch, and I'll do the same when I finish. So, all right, I came to the end. I'll do another one closer up so you can see. Now I'm going to back stitch. So go back and done. Let's see how this is looking. It's looking pretty good. So I'm just going to chop this off. The reason why we need to double stitch here is so that when you go to put your things in and you go to open your pocket, it doesn't start unraveling. So we're just creating like a back stitch, like a knot kind of thing. All right, and now I'm gonna put my wide pieces in. Oh, wow, I love this. I love it already. And now my little strips. I am not bothered about, oh, this came from that collection, and this came from that collection. They need to be together. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't know why I was using that word. Sorry about that. I was just being, I don't know. I'm not being mean, I promise. I really could not care less what goes with what. And I do have to say that I suspect, I was going to say that it might be a little bit difficult looking through these because, you know, but actually, no, I take that back. I don't think it's going to be difficult whatsoever. But now, because I made this pocket this particular size, of course, I can't have anything thicker in there, so I'm going to keep that in mind for my next pocket. All right, there's one pocket done, and I am quite happy with this. The only thing that looks like might happen during my flippage of the pages is this. So now I'm thinking that perhaps it would have been better to do this section here rather than here at the end. So this is something that I will know once I'm done. All right, next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do my wide strips, which means that I just need to sew this right down the middle, and I'll get real close so that you can see. Start sewing and do a back stitch, which at this point it doesn't really matter because it's sealed down the bottom and we're not doing any opening there. But back stitching, very important when we get to the end. Otherwise, it's going to unravel every time you go in to grab something. All right, let's back stitch. Done. All right, moment of truth. Is that sewing straight? It's looking pretty straight to me. So I did a good job. Hello, hello. I'm back. I did a few more. So I did a few more of these just sewn down in the middle, and then I did one of these where I have 3 strips, but I think they're too narrow, and I'm going to do like thicker strips. I'm just going to do for my next one, see how this one's got 4 pockets and this one's got 2 pockets. I'm now going to do this one 3 pockets. Okay, now that is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with this. While I was sewing this, I had a thought that perhaps you can even buy folders that already have these sections, but why would you buy them when you can just make them yourself? It's so much cheaper. If you have a sewing machine, that is. I will speed all of my processes up from now on. I'm going to go in, fill up all the pockets, and see if I need to sew more, you know, sections. I'm going to see what works and what doesn't, because I might find that this does not work at all, so I don't want to be sewing these in advance if they're not going to work. And same for this. I don't know if it's going to work. I haven't done it before. So, all right, let's fill up the pockets. Okay, so far what I'm finding is you can see here how I have a little bit of wiggle room because my papers are smaller than my pocket. And then here, these fit kind of perfectly. And I have to take them out to see them. At least take them out a little bit to see them. So I prefer space in here. All right, so that's something to think about. I might make more of these where I have one large pocket and one smaller pocket. That's what I think I'll do. All right, here's one sewn kind of off center so that I have a nice wide pocket over here, and then I have a thinner pocket over here. This is fun. I love this. I love this organizing business. And especially when it's done, like when I did my stickers last week, I just felt like using them since then has been so nice. Like I really enjoy using my stickers now because everything is nice and organized and easy to get to, and I just love that. So far I'm thinking this is the best system, the one that's off center sewn here. So we have a wide and a narrower pocket rather than, you know, too smaller. It just for my scraps, it seems like that's working for me. How did I not think of this before is the question I'm asking myself as I'm doing this. I never actually sat down and thought, is the system working for me, the system I was using so far? And how can I fix it? Never crossed my mind to actually wonder that until I decided to film the series and like the organizing your supply series. And now suddenly I'm thinking, how can I make this better? And I am loving the solutions that have come to me. All right, so here are my thoughts again. I'm just going to talk as we go along because the thoughts are coming to me. This pocket with the 4. It's pretty cool for your narrow strips, is it not? The only thing is, like, it's quite snug, quite tight. So, I mean, it's not too bad. You can see when I pull things out, I can kind of see what's in here. But I feel like it's better when there's more space because then your scraps, your strips are not, you know, hiding each other. But they're also not sliding all to one side, which is an issue with the large pocket when all the strips go to one side. By the way, I have a separate section for strips. Okay, I have a box. I am a little bit obsessive, but you know, I have a box of strips and I use these. They're not just sitting here. Like I have projects that I do with these. And this is going to be a different video. All right, I just want to mention that I have those strips too, but perhaps this is a system that would work for those strips. I don't know. I'm going to have to ponder. But for now, I'm just working with, you know, I want to have some strips here next to me because that box is, I have to get up and go and get it. It's not within reach. Whereas this folder or these folders are within reach. They're right behind me. Definitely like the larger pockets because I just want to grab stuff and put it in there and not have to be all, you know, I don't want it to take time when I need to put supplies away and then I need to do this. All right, so that's definitely for me not going to work. I will keep this one pocket, but I'm not going to do any more of this one because when I'm finished with the project, I'm going to put stuff away. You saw what my folder looked like before because I was throwing things in. Who's got the time to go and organize after every project? So I want to, let's say I have like all these leftover bits and pieces, and let's say all different sizes. I want to go, you know, done. I don't want to have to pedantically put things in. So, all right, that at least now I know what works and what doesn't. All right, now all that I'm left over with is this section with kind of the smaller, not quite large. So what I'm going to do with this is, and even this, I've changed my mind about this. Here's what I'll do. All right, here's what I've done with this one because I have to say I didn't like the papers flailing around in there. So now I don't know if you get a lot of these when you're cutting down 12 by 12 sheets of paper. I get a lot of them and I keep all of them because I use them. So even though so far I've kept this in the box I've just shown you before, with the offcuts, or strips of paper, I should say. I like the idea of having a section here, making this a smaller pocket so things are not flying around, and also having space for these strips. I love that idea. Okay, so all that I have left are these pieces, and I'm gonna go and do some sewing and come back and show you what I've done when I'm finished with the whole folder. But all I wanted to say at this stage is that you make it work for you. If you like to keep your papers in a collection, then obviously do it that way. Perhaps you might want to think about color coding. So you might want to have a large section, a medium section, a small section, tiny section for your reds, and then for your greens and for your blues and so on and so forth. So for me at this stage, I really couldn't care less, if I'm being honest. And it just, that was one thing that never bothered me. Like, oh, I need to have a blue section. I think it's because in a lot of cases, my papers are double-sided, so that would drive me nuts. Like, where do I put this? Like, it's green and it's red. All right, this one's Christmas. It's kind of easy, but I think you know what I mean. Like, where do I put this? It's flowery, but then it's also green. Where do I put this? You know, it's red on that side. And that would drive me nuts. My brain cannot cope with that. Look, pink, blue. Oh, I can't deal. So I am not color coding. That's just me. All right, I'll be back when this is done and I'll show you how it looks. And then, of course, we have this. Now the smaller pieces are going to be a little bit different because I don't have a small folder where you can remove the sleeves. So we're going to have to think of some other solution. I just had a thought while I was sewing this one that if you don't have a sewing machine or you don't want to use it for this kind of stuff, perhaps another option would be a fusing tool if you have that. I don't know, you might have it, you might not, but that's also an option. And my folder of large scraps is officially complete. Look how neat it looks, nice and separated. In the past, all of these pieces would have been over here, empty pockets over here, and it was just driving me crazy. And now everything is just so much better. Look at this. I decided to put this one as the first pocket, then I have 3 pockets here, and then we're getting into the large with the small, and then a fully large one with no sewing. I just did whatever, you know. And in all honesty, remember before when I said this is gonna get on my nerves? I really don't think it's a problem, because when I'm flipping through, there's no issue. I can see my scraps. Now, of course, like here, for example, I can only see the top scrap, but I really don't think it's an issue because I can just go like this and have a look at my papers. What do I have in there? Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, let's pull it out, put them back in, and I've got, you know, I think it's gonna work. I mean, I'm not changing my whole system, I'm just making it better. I am loving this solution with the sewing. So yeah, and that's it. That's all I have for this large one. I left these pockets here intact. I really don't think I can have it too chunky. And the thing is, like, I'm using these scraps, so hopefully, like, the plan is not for this to grow. Like, the plan is for this to be used up. So it always tends to stay at around this amount of papers because I use them, but I also add new ones, you know, as I'm making projects. All right, now let's move on to the smaller scraps. This is an old system and it worked until it didn't, when I started kind of throwing things in and everything is messy looking, and look at that. So now first thing I'm going to do is take everything out. I literally keep absolutely everything, and perhaps it's time to stop doing that. I mean, seriously, I don't need to keep every single scrap. That stops today. Okay, lots of scraps here, plus some more scraps that I took from the larger folder, which can fit into a small folder. Now this folder, you know, it really served its purpose. Thank you, folder. It really did the job. But I think I'm going to upcycle this in some way and change to a new system. So I have another one of these, even though, I mean, all of these things I've got secondhand, as I said, and this one is a little bit broken, which is a bit crappy, but it is what it is. And then I also have this. So first thing I'm going to do, because I still don't know how I'm going to sort these, I'm going to hope for an idea to come to me while I'm sorting out the scraps. So what I'm going to do, of course, is have loose categories again, larger pieces and then tiny pieces and so on. And I shall speed up through this process. Very tedious, this organizing business. And while I'm organizing and putting them into loose categories, I'm getting also rid of some things. So I'm just sort of decluttering. I know it's not really decluttering because I'm keeping most of the stuff, because most of the stuff can be used, but okay, I'm drawing a line at some tiny little pieces. What was I thinking? These are my categories. I have some large ones, I have some narrow ones, I have some random, then I have some kind of medium-ish ones, and then tiny little small ones. All right, now I need to come up with a plan. I thought it's going to come to me while I'm organizing, but it didn't. Okay, pile ready to go. Now let's think. Okay, with this folder, theoretically, I could open up these things here and remove the pages to do a bit of sewing, but I can't be bothered doing that. So I wonder if perhaps I don't even need to remove. Perhaps I can just put it through my sewing machine like this. Another option is something like this, if you can find one still. It's like those sleeves pockets, and what I keep in here, this would be perfect for scraps. Absolutely perfect, because the pockets are from above and they kind of, I was gonna say structured. They're not really structured, but I find that things don't fall out of here. And you can see I use this for like little ephemera pieces, and sometimes things fall out, but generally it works quite well. So this would actually be perfect for scraps. However, this is quite large and it sits under my desk and I don't pull it out all that often. So for me, this isn't gonna work for the paper scraps. Okay, still thinking mode. My mom recently gave me this photo album. She found it in a second-hand shop. Photo album seems to be kind of, not really, but kind of a thing of the past. So you will find that when you go to a thrift store, most likely you're going to find some photo albums. All right, this is also isn't going to work because the opening is here, but it's actually not a bad idea. This one's a little bit stiff, so I'm definitely going to use this for something else, but not for my scraps today. All right, so that's a no. But these are all options worth exploring, and I keep coming back to this, and I'm thinking this is the way to go. So I'm going to start organizing. Actually, I'm not going to start organizing. I'm going to take you to my sewing machine. There really is only one way to find out if this is going to work, and if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. No big deal. No big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm opening my folder up. I might leave the first 2 pages as full pages. And now this one, I'm just kind of opening it like this, and I'm going to do a middle stitch. Let's see what happens. All right, I've done 2 stitches so far, one straight down in the middle and one you can see over here. I left a larger section than a small section here. Another thing that I was thinking while sewing, which isn't going to work for me, but it might work for you, you might want to sew the top shut and then do a stitch here in the middle and then cut this open, so then you have side opening pockets. For me, that's not going to work because I just see things when I'm grabbing things off my shelf. I just see things spilling everywhere, so I'm not even gonna entertain that idea for me personally. I'm gonna start putting my scraps in now, and then I'll see what I need more of, and yeah, I'll go from there. I just know right here at the beginning, I might do the little offcuts. I know for a fact that the little offcuts need to have a full page because I need to be able to go in there and dig them out. Whereas if they're in a narrow pocket, it's going to be hard because they're all going to fall down to the bottom. And with this sewing business, I can't get my hand in there. All right, so that is certain. Another option, of course, is to not keep the tiny little bits in here, or anywhere really. Maybe just throw them away. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to put them all in here because why not? Why not? I'm already not liking this. It's too chunky. I'm just going to take it out for now and focus on the larger bits, and then I'll Oh, I have an idea for the small bits. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All right, here's my idea. Not everyone's going to have this in their stash. I randomly found this at the Resource Rescue Center. It's actually shipping label pockets, okay? And it's got a sticky back, so you can stick it onto anything, and then you have like this pocket. Just don't remove the stop bar because it's going to stick shut. So really, there's only one way to find out if this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, I will just peel it off. It's no big deal. It's not that serious. It doesn't look great, but we're not here for looks. It's what's inside that matters. Okay, I've decided this section here is going to be for my tiny little pieces, and these little pieces are good to use for lots of different things like tabs and punch out shapes, and I just don't want to throw them out. All right, so that's one problem solved. Tiny little pieces go in here. Now I'm thinking for this here, if I want to have tiny little pieces, but I don't want them to go all the way in, what I could easily do, and in fact I'm going to do that now, is make the pocket smaller. So I just shut the pocket. So this here is not going to be used at all because it's completely closed off, but it makes this shorter. So I think for me personally, that's going to be a great thing, because then I can put these shorter pieces in and they're not going to go all the way down to the bottom. All right, what I'll do now is I'm going to work out all of my, it's taking a little bit of time just thinking, what should I do? How should I do this? I'm going to do it mostly off camera, and then I'll come back hopefully and show you when it's all been done. But I'm actually really liking this because it distributes the pieces rather than having a chunky, bulky section in one spot. So that seems to be working. Now I'm thinking I can do like a short pocket here. You know, I'm worried that things are gonna, maybe I can just make it a little bit shorter. Anyway, I'm gonna go and do all of that, and hopefully I'll be back when it's done, unless I have some sort of an idea during the process. Then I'll be back then. But in any case, I'll be back. Okay, I'm halfway through and I have had some ideas swirling around in my head. So I'll show you what I've done so far. I actually realized that opening, you see how I've done one stitch here and one stitch there. And then what I did here is I slit this part open, and actually when I put little strips in there, they don't fall out because they're nice and snug in there. So I did that on a few of them. You can see my stitching here isn't straight, because what's happening now is I'm filling up my book and then I'm taking it kind of full to the sewing machine trying to sew. But it's fine. This is not an art project. It doesn't have to be perfect. So anyway, I just wanted to say that that seems to be working quite well, having little openings here, and then this here is of course closed. So anyway, what do you think? I'm feeling pretty smug over here because I think it's going really well, and I'm actually nearly done. And anyway, when I finish, I'll show you what I've got. All right, this is the small scraps folder and it is done. So there's a few things that I would change, and I'll tell you about it as we go along. I'll just do a quick flip through. So tiny little bits and pieces here. These pockets are just non-usable. They're not pockets really. And then this kind of thing, this strips here, and then this whole section is, you know, for like that sort of size. And then anyway, I'll just flip through. Probably no need to explain everything, but I'm going to pop this underneath so you can see better the pockets. Over here I have one here, and then one over here, and same thing over here. So what I would do, if I had known what I'm going to do before I started, or when I started, if I was to do this all over again, let's say, this is what I would change. This is what I would do. As you notice, as I'm flipping through, there's all different types of pockets. Here I have 3 sheets that I haven't done anything with, and I wish that they were kind of at the back rather than the middle. So if I had known what I was doing, I would have sections. Let's say first 5 pages, I have the exact same pockets. Next 5 pages, I have these kinds of pockets. Whereas at the moment, here we have the same kinds of pockets, and that's what I would have done with the whole book. And then at the end of the book, 4 size pockets that I didn't do anything with, left them just as they are. And then the very last page, I have randomly cut pieces, so like triangles and stuff like that. And then I have one more page at the back. So that's the only thing that I don't like about this, the fact that I have this kind of thing at the beginning, then this, you know, all different kinds of pockets. But I could always go back and do the same thing with another folder, or perhaps even use my old folder. I can do the same thing with this, but I'm not gonna, because I feel like even though all the pockets are different, I feel like this is doing the job. I have my scraps in here and I can just go in and grab a scrap and it's gonna work for me, and everything is kind of, you know, organized. And I feel like the more pockets you have, the more of your scraps you see, whereas when they're all in one large pocket, kind of all scrunched together, you can't see your stuff. You have to kind of rummage through. I hope that makes sense. So I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. What I would do, perhaps maybe next time I do this thing, in a few years when everything's falling apart again, I would organize in themes like bright colors, vintage colors, maybe, I don't know. And here we go, final result of my organization system. I'm a little bit more excited about this one because it's so neat and contained, and it looks very, very nice, I suppose, I don't know. And then this one, I'm quite happy, as I said, but I'm not a huge fan of the bulging business. I have way too many papers, and perhaps I need 2 folders, but I'm not gonna go down that route. I only have that much space in my shelf, so the only way to go from here is to use up the scraps, and we all know that's never gonna happen, so I'm not even gonna pretend. And when it comes to decluttering, I did not declutter much because all of this can be used. The papers that, I mean, this is gonna sit in that folder forever because I'm never gonna use it. So I kind of took out those little pieces that, I don't know, maybe can go into the bin. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. But then there is also pieces like this. These are not scraps. So this has its own place and it's gonna be filed in its own place. And then this here, I pulled this out to show you. And of course we do have some scraps in here. I'm gonna sort this later. But this kind of thing, I have a separate place where I keep this kind of thing. And I'm just gonna quickly show you, even though it's off topic. But I have this non-organized little box where I kind of put these random things, because with these types of things, I can make little booklets, and I have a video, I'm going to link it down below. And all of these, I mean, you can get so many ideas from that video alone, making little booklets. And you can see I'm in the process of making some, you know, just so many different things. So this type of thing, I don't throw these things away because I can I can make a little book, you know. I mean, we can use every single little scrap of paper to make something with. I mean, I'm sure you know this already, but you know, here we go. Oh, what do we have here? Let's see. Like even this, look at this, how cute. So this was part of that video as well. What else do we have? Maybe there's some more surprises. There's a few little, I love when this happens because now I feel like I have to throw in the bin, and I'm gonna put it into the compost bin. At the end of the day, we really don't need to keep everything, but the truth is everything can be utilized in some way. All right, moving on. Here's just a quick little peek into the little booklets that I've made using those offcuts. You know what I mean? Like all of it can be used. Look at this, a little button, little note. I have tutorials in all of these. Look, buttons. That tutorial is going to be linked below, so if you haven't seen it, it was a very popular video, but go and have a look. Look, I mean, it's just so many projects and so many ideas that I want to tell you about right now, but I'm not gonna, because we're gonna be here until the cows come home. So I'm gonna leave it here. This is my official organization system for my scraps, and I am feeling a little bit smug because I'm quite happy that I did this today, even though it did take a little while. But that's just the way it is with organization systems. But once you do it, you're actually saving time saving time in the long run. All right, please let me know your thoughts. Did this inspire you? Did you do something like this? What is your organization system for scraps? this might not work for everyone. Like I said in my previous video, the stickers video, hopefully if this system doesn't work for you, perhaps it's given you an idea of what will work for you. And I would love it if you would share it with us in the comment section down below. Now, I will link this playlist also down below if you haven't seen the stickers video, and also all the videos that are coming up. And speaking of all the videos that are coming up, please let me know what would you like to see in the next organization series. I'm still doing my usual weekly videos of, other things. But in terms of organization, I've done stickers, I've done paper scraps. What do you want to see next? Let's see what I've got on my list so far. Oh, wow. The list is long. We have paper, like how do I store paper? Here's my list, but I don't want to show it. I don't want to show it because I have my own little notes next to it, like personal notes. We have inks, washi tape, stamps, book pages, paper. Paper is a big one. Everybody wants to know about paper. And we're not talking paper scraps. We're talking actual paper. But my paper is all organized, so it wouldn't be an organizing video. It will be more like I'm going to show you what I do with my papers. But yeah, anyway, any thoughts, any musings, any suggestions, any ideas, please share down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, for being here with me today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.